Welcome to the 10-step journey that will completely transform your life as a modern man. Each step of this climb represents a conquest toward a new you, more confident, mature, attractive, and truly connected to your emotions and the women you desire. Today, we climb the third step: intelligent emotions, connection beyond the body. Here, we'll take on the challenge of mastering emotional intelligence, that unique ability that differentiates the man who simply wants successful relationships from the one who truly builds deep and lasting bonds. Prepare to dive into the world of emotions with courage, authenticity, and strategy. Because on the path to personal transformation, understanding and managing your emotions isn't a choice. It's the foundation that sustains true power, true attraction, and the respect you deserve. This isn't an empty promise. It's an invitation to be rare, to be strong in the face of challenges, and to win, not just hearts, but the respect, trust, and admiration that transform relationships into epic partnerships. Topic 1. What is emotional intelligence and why it determines your value in the eyes of women? We've reached the third rung of the modern man ladder, the one that will transform not only the way you feel and act, but also the depth of your personal connections. Today, we'll delve into emotional intelligence, a skill that is the true cornerstone for a man to excel in the world of modern relationships. It's not about being the strongest or the richest, but about knowing how to understand, manage, and express your emotions wisely. It's this emotional competence that determines your true value in the eyes of women, sustaining healthy, deep, and lasting relationships. What is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to perceive, understand, and manage one's own emotions, as well as recognize and influence the emotions of others. It is a silent power that goes beyond cold rationality, connecting reason and feeling, and creating internal balance. Daniel Goleman, one of the greatest scholars on the subject, defines emotional intelligence as having four basic pillars: self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills. This set of skills allows modern humans to face emotional challenges without losing control, establish constructive dialogues, and create genuine emotional bonds. Emotional intelligence isn't just a social differentiator. It's the foundation for respect, security, and genuine attraction. Why is emotional intelligence seen as a differentiator in modern relationships? In recent research, women highlight emotional intelligence as one of the most attractive qualities in a partner. This is because, in a world full of uncertainty and emotional demands, a man who knows how to manage his own feelings and those of his partner conveys security and maturity. Studies in journals such as the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships indicate that the ability of both partners to express emotions and resolve conflicts without aggression is what sustains the longevity of relationships. Contrary to the stereotype of the tough man, who represses feelings and avoids deep conversations, the emotionally intelligent man is seen as a safe haven, someone who can be counted on to share joys, fears, and challenges, without judgment or rejection. The impact of emotional intelligence on attraction and connection. When you develop your emotional intelligence, you begin to build a connection that goes far beyond the physical. Women sense, even if unconsciously, this capacity for emotional presence and respond with greater interest and trust. The ability to truly listen without interrupting or judging, and to acknowledge and validate feelings creates an environment of respect and affection that fuels passion. Furthermore, men with high emotional intelligence will know how to balance vulnerability and strength, showing themselves to be authentic and human. They can clearly express desires and limits, avoiding misunderstandings and fostering mutual respect, the fundamental foundation for a satisfying relationship. Common mistakes men make when dealing with emotions. Many men believe they need to hide or ignore their emotions to appear strong. This leads to a series of problems: communication difficulties, withdrawal from their partner, irritability, and even unexpected emotional outbursts. A common mistake is to transfer negative emotions without self-control, mistaking strength for aggression. Another slip-up is the resistance to understanding the other person's emotional complexity, which creates invisible barriers that block intimacy. Many also see themselves as a reflection of a culture of not feeling, and this creates obstacles that delay personal and emotional development. How to start developing emotional intelligence today? The first step is to look within, without judgment. Practice self-awareness by asking yourself daily, what am I feeling right now? Why did this feeling arise? Then, seek to learn to self-regulate your reactions. Take a deep breath before acting impulsively, and learn to express yourself clearly and calmly. Invest in empathy. Ask yourself what the other person might be feeling. Truly listen without preparing automatic responses. See emotional challenges as opportunities for growth and practice healthy vulnerability, sharing your feelings when appropriate and safe. Finally, remember that developing emotional intelligence is an ongoing journey that requires patience, practice, and often professional help. Men who embrace this journey discover a new dimension of freedom and power, forever changing the way they relate to themselves and others. This is the first step to becoming the man all women desire and that you deserve to be: authentic, mature, and deeply connected. Topic 2. Self-knowledge and self-care, the basis of emotional maturity. Introduction. We now move on to the second topic of the third rung of the modern man's ladder, where we will delve into self-knowledge and self-care as fundamental pillars for developing true emotional intelligence. Understanding yourself and taking care of yourself holistically is not only an act of self-love, but the primary tool for dealing with emotional, professional, and social challenges in a healthy and effective way. This step is essential for men who wish to overcome emotional blocks, strengthen self-esteem, and create relationships built on authenticity and balance. What is self-awareness, and why is it the foundation for emotional maturity? Self-awareness is the ability to observe and understand your own emotions, behaviors, motivations, and limits without judgment. It's your internal map that reveals reaction patterns, synchronizes conscious and unconscious desires, and helps you make decisions that reflect your true essence. According to positive psychology, men who develop self-awareness have a greater capacity for emotional self-regulation, improve their resilience, and reduce internal conflicts. This clear self-perception creates a solid foundation for building trust, genuine interest in others, and effective communication. Common mistake. Many men try to avoid uncomfortable feelings by repressing insecurities or feelings considered weak. This leads to sudden emotional outbursts and hinders deep relationships. Self-awareness invites us to accept our vulnerabilities and transform them into strengths. The importance of self-care for emotional and physical balance. Self-care goes far beyond aesthetics. Engaging in practices that promote mental, emotional, and physical well-being is essential to maintaining emotional intelligence. Getting enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, maintaining regular physical activity, and setting aside time for relaxation and leisure are acts of self-respect. Furthermore, taking care of mental health, whether through therapy, meditation, or support groups, makes people more centered and less vulnerable to everyday stresses and frustrations. According to neuroscience studies, these practices strengthen brain areas linked to emotional control and empathy. Common mistake: thinking that self-care is a sign of weakness or excessive vanity. In reality, men who prioritize self-care live happier, more productive lives, and have healthier relationships, as they exude positive energy and emotional resilience. Practices to develop self-knowledge and self-care in everyday life. Establish moments of daily reflection. Write down your feelings, achievements, and challenges without censorship. Observe your emotional reactions and seek to understand their root causes. Set aside time each week for physical activity that you enjoy, whether it's walking, sports, or the gym. Invest in quality sleep and maintain a balanced diet, avoiding excesses and excessive stimulants. Try mindfulness and meditation practices to increase awareness and reduce anxiety. Consider psychological counseling, whether through traditional therapy, support groups, or emotional coaching. Allow yourself to receive help and share your feelings with people you trust. Mistake to avoid: being inconsistent in self-care, caring for your body while ignoring your emotions, or vice versa. Comprehensive self-care is what strengthens self-confidence and inner security. How self-awareness improves communication and relationships. By recognizing your emotions and understanding your limits, men become more transparent and honest in their communication. This clarity builds trust, and demonstrating the right amount of vulnerability facilitates genuine connections. Women value men who can express their feelings without fear and who can listen without judgment. Furthermore, self-awareness helps you identify your emotional triggers, avoiding overreactions and unnecessary conflict. This allows discussions to flourish, mutual respect grows, and intimacy is strengthened. Common mistake: confusing self-knowledge with self-absorption, or using one's own emotions as an excuse for inappropriate behavior. True self-knowledge is conscious and responsible, not an excuse for immaturity. Overcoming emotional blocks with self-awareness and self-care. Introverted men with emotional blocks and hang-ups especially benefit from developing these skills. Understanding that difficult emotions are a natural part of the human experience is liberating. The process requires patience, self-compassion, and consistent practice. Turning blockages into learning is possible by recognizing repetitive patterns, practicing self-care, and seeking tools, such as therapy or groups, that offer support for change. It's a path of self-mastery that opens doors to greater emotional freedom, higher self-esteem, and more satisfying relationships. Mistake to avoid: giving up in the face of difficulties or seeking quick, superficial solutions, such as denial, excessive consumption, or social isolation. True transformation comes from within, structured step by step. Conclusion and emotional trigger: self-knowledge and self-care are the foundation that supports all the other steps of the modern human journey. Developing these skills will be the turning point for you to take control of your emotional life, gain confidence, and connect authentically and deeply. Imagine looking in the mirror and recognizing not just your image, but the whole person you're becoming. Balanced, strong, sensitive, and whole. In the next step, you'll understand how empathy and vulnerability become the bridges to the most genuine and meaningful relationships you've ever experienced. If you're ready to continue this climb of personal and relational evolution, follow me to the next topic. The modern human journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Topic 3: empathy, vulnerability, and openness. The bridges of deep connection. Introduction. Welcome to the third topic of Step 3 of the Modern Man Ladder, where we'll delve deeper into the fundamental emotional qualities that build authentic and lasting bonds: empathy, vulnerability, and openness. These skills aren't signs of weakness, but expressions of courage and maturity that transform your ability to truly connect with the people who matter, especially women. By mastering this step, you become not only more attractive, but also essential in the lives of those you want to win over. Prepare to discover the power that comes from putting yourself in someone else's shoes, opening your heart with poise, and building relationships without masks. What is empathy, and why is it crucial for emotional connection? Empathy is the ability to understand and share another person's feelings, to truly put yourself in their shoes without judging or trying to fix everything. It's a form of deep listening that validates emotions and creates a safe space for dialogue. The emotional intelligence of modern relationships depends on it. In women's eyes, empathetic partners are perceived as available, trustworthy, and emotionally present, key attributes for cultivating intimacy and security. Social neuroscience studies show that empathy activates areas of the brain linked to reward and trust, facilitating lasting emotional connections. Men who develop empathy create judgment-free environments where vulnerability can flourish and partnerships grow stronger. Common mistake: Many men confuse empathy with superficial sympathy or passive agreement. True empathy requires conscious emotional engagement, knowing how to deal with difficult emotions, and, above all, respecting the other person's space and time to process them. Vulnerability as a strength, not a weakness. Expressing vulnerability is often one of the greatest challenges for modern man, precisely because traditional culture has taught that men don't cry and that feelings are dangerous. However, vulnerability is a profound form of courage. Accepting to expose uncertainties, fears, doubts, and limitations is an act of authenticity that generates real connection. Brené Brown, a world leader in vulnerability research, points out that people who allow themselves to be vulnerable develop greater emotional resilience and more genuine relationships. Women seek men who know how to humanly show their flaws without losing the spotlight on their own lives. Common mistake: using vulnerability as manipulation, pity me, or premature overexposure, which alienates people by creating discomfort. The key is balance, choosing safe moments to share, with intention and sincerity. Emotional openness, creating space for true dialogue. Emotional openness is the active willingness to communicate transparently and truthfully, without masks or rigid defenses. It involves talking about feelings, listening attentively, and responding with respect and genuine interest. It is an invitation to reciprocity, acceptance, and joint development. This approach strengthens trust by eliminating barriers and facilitating mutual understanding. For many men, opening up requires practice, as it means stepping out of their comfort zone and challenging internal beliefs about masculinity and control. Common mistake: resisting openness for fear of being judged or rejected, avoiding sensitive topics, or deviating from the "men don't show feelings" mindset. This attitude limits the potential of relationships and can lead to emotional isolation. How to develop empathy, vulnerability, and openness in your daily life. Practice active listening. When someone speaks, really listen, avoid interrupting, and try to understand beyond the words. Observe your own emotions and recognize your reactions to others' feelings without being quick to judge. Try sharing small feelings and doubts in safe environments, gradually building trust. Challenge limiting beliefs about masculinity that prevent true expression. Learn to recognize and validate others' emotions, offering support without trying to solve everything. Cultivate relationships with people who respect your space and also expose themselves authentically. Consider practices like meditation, journaling, and therapy to deepen your connection with your emotions. Mistake to avoid: forcing yourself to show more than you're prepared for or leaving your true self aside to please others. Emotional development is a process that respects your pace and individuality. Direct benefits of these skills in attraction and relationships. Men who cultivate empathy, vulnerability, and openness create deeper, more stable relationships based on respect, trust, and genuine intimacy. They become desired partners, reliable companions, and sources of emotional support. Furthermore, these skills foster peaceful conflict resolution, clear communication, and joint growth, aspects that research has shown to be essential for long-lasting relationships. Women value this emotional balance, which reveals maturity and authenticity. Conclusion: an emotional trigger. The journey to becoming an emotionally intelligent man involves opening your heart, accepting your emotions, and truly connecting with others. Empathy, vulnerability, and openness are not weaknesses, but the greatest strengths that can transform your love and social life. Imagine creating relationships where respect and trust flow naturally, where you're seen as a safe haven and a remarkable partner. In the next step, we'll explore the power of purposeful self-care, which translates your values into an admirable and irresistible presence. Topic 4: Therapy, support groups, and emotional transformation, the trend of the new times. Introduction. In this fourth topic of Step 3 of the Modern Man Ladder, we'll explore one of the main trends that has revolutionized the male universe: the pursuit of mental health and emotional growth through therapy and support groups. Although this topic was long surrounded by stigma and prejudice, it currently represents a clear sign of courage, maturity, and leadership. Recognizing the importance of caring for one's mind and emotions is a decisive step for men who want to break through obstacles, build richer relationships, and live a fulfilling life. Prepare to understand how accessing these resources can be the turning point you've been needing for your personal and emotional development. The decline of stigma and the appreciation of male emotional care. For decades, traditional culture associated seeking emotional help with weakness, especially for men. The tough guy archetype ignores feelings and represses vulnerabilities to maintain a rigid image of strength. However, reality has changed, and recent research indicates that more and more men are embracing therapy and support groups as legitimate forms of self-development. Clinical psychology studies show that therapy significantly reduces symptoms of anxiety, depression, and stress, as well as improving overall well-being. Women see men who invest in this journey as more trustworthy, responsible, and prepared for genuine relationships. The culture of emotional self-care is the new masculinity, combining strength with sensitivity, courage with care. Common mistake: dismissing therapy as something for crazy people, or thinking that only the most fragile need it. This outdated view limits its potential, perpetuates blockages, and hinders the development of new emotional developments. Concrete benefits of participating in individual therapy or support groups. Participating in therapy sessions provides a safe space to explore difficult experiences, behavioral patterns, and limiting beliefs. Through dialogue with specialized professionals, individuals learn to identify the roots of their emotional difficulties and develop strategies to cope with them. In addition to individual therapy, support groups, such as men's conversation circles, are also gaining popularity. They offer connection, empathy, and validation, helping to reduce the emotional isolation so common in traditional masculinity. Men who attend these spaces report increased self-confidence, emotional clarity, and social skills. Common mistake: getting discouraged by the initial challenges of the therapeutic process or expecting quick solutions. Emotional growth is gradual and requires commitment, patience, and openness. How to find the right type of help for you. Choosing the right professional or group depends on your personality, needs, and goals. Psychologists, psychotherapists, emotional coaches, and men's group facilitators use different methodologies. But what makes the difference is the alignment between you and the space where you seek support. Research references, experiences, and opinions, and don't be afraid to experiment with different approaches until you find the one that resonates most. Self-honesty is essential to recognize when something isn't working and adjust course. Common mistake: giving up when experiencing initial discomfort or confronting painful patterns. Resistance is normal, but it can be overcome with perseverance and support. Complementary practices to enhance emotional development. In addition to therapy, some practices help to increase self-knowledge and emotional intelligence, such as meditation and mindfulness, which increase presence and reduce anxiety. Reflective writing, journaling, to organize thoughts and emotions. Regular physical exercise that balances body and mind. Readings and courses on personal and emotional development. Participation in communities that promote sincere and respectful dialogue. Incorporating these practices strengthens emotional resilience and creates a solid foundation for facing everyday challenges with serenity and clarity. Mistake to avoid: thinking that therapy alone will solve everything or that you must face it alone. Combining resources creates a more comprehensive support environment, the possible transformation, and the invitation to courage. By accepting help and investing in emotional care, you break out of the cycle of blockages, repeated mistakes, and isolation and into a state of greater freedom, self-confidence, and connection. This transformation not only impacts your love and social life, but also impacts your career, health, and self-esteem. Being a modern man also means being aware of his emotions and vulnerabilities, choosing to grow with them rather than be held hostage. The path isn't easy, but the reward is a fulfilling life and meaningful relationships. Emotional trigger for the next topic. Imagine yourself in a space where your emotions are welcomed, your fears confronted, and your strengths recognized. The next stage of our journey will show how authentic humor can be the bridge that connects your emotional intelligence to lightness and natural attraction. Get ready to laugh, diffuse tension, and shine like never before. Topic 5. How to develop intelligent emotions in practice. Habits, examples, and course corrections. Introduction. We've reached the final topic of Step 3, which will transform all emotional knowledge into everyday practices that lead to real and sustainable growth. Knowing what emotional intelligence is fundamental, but applying it daily is what will make all the difference in your love, professional, and personal life. In this chapter, we'll break down how you can cultivate intelligent emotions through simple habits, conscious attitudes, and a keen eye for the most common pitfalls, so you can avoid the mistakes that most undermine men's emotional confidence. Prepare to incorporate these practices and start living a more authentic, connected, and powerful life. 1. Daily self-awareness practice. Truly know yourself. The foundation of intelligent emotions is self-awareness, the ability to identify what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how it influences your actions. Instead of reacting automatically, emotionally intelligent men practice looking inward. A good starting practice is to set aside 5 to 10 minutes a day to reflect on your feelings and behaviors. You can do this by writing in a journal or simply in silence if you prefer. When something bothers you, whether it's criticism at work, a misunderstanding with friends, or a shy approach to someone, stop and ask, what emotion am I feeling right now? Anger, fear, anxiety, jealousy? What triggered this emotion? This helps break the cycle of impulsive reactions and creates space for more conscious choices. Common mistake: ignoring or denying negative emotions, swallowing it, or stuffing it out, which leads to later explosions and strained relationships. 2. Clear and assertive emotional communication. It's not enough to just feel. You need to express what you think and feel in a way that the other person understands and respects. This requires practice. Many men grew up with encouragement to hide their feelings or act solely on logic. Practicing assertive communication involves using I statements. For example, I feel uncomfortable when, instead of accusations, which prompt immediate defensiveness. Another tip is to control your tone of voice and pause to prevent the conversation from becoming confrontational. Showing vulnerability and emotional expression without losing your resolve builds respect and connection. Common mistake: giving in to communication, or conversely, exploding in anger, which destroys opportunities for constructive dialogue. 3. Learn to deal with difficult emotions without running away from them. Emotional growth necessarily involves dealing with discomfort, such as frustration, rejection, insecurity, and fear. Emotionally intelligent men realize that escaping these emotions only slows down development. The strategy here is tolerance for distress and the search for healthy ways to process it. This can include techniques such as deep breathing to control anxiety, physical exercise to release tension, and mindfulness practices to stay in the present and avoid ruminating about the past or future. Common mistake: trying to numb bad emotions with alcohol, excessive work, or isolation, solutions that only muffle the problem and create new difficulties. 4. Encourage empathy and understanding of others daily. Emotional intelligence isn't just internal, it also manifests itself in relationships with others. Learning to listen without interrupting, validating others' feelings even when disagreeing, and recognizing another's point of view strengthens any relationship, whether friendship, family, or dating. Try to put yourself in the shoes of the people you live with. When your partner, friend, or colleague shows sadness or irritation, your first reaction may be judgment or defensiveness, but practice changing that to curiosity and acceptance. Common mistake: disregarding the other person's feelings or trying to solve everything quickly without listening deeply. 5. Cultivate emotional resilience through constant self-improvement. No one is born emotionally perfect. What matters is the pursuit of continuous evolution. Understand that emotional mistakes are opportunities for learning, not irreparable failures. Invest in reading books on positive psychology, emotional intelligence, and relationships. Attend workshops, discussion groups, or seek professional guidance when needed. Be patient and maintain discipline. Reframe negative thoughts, regrets, or complaints as challenges to grow. Common mistake: giving up at the first sign of difficulty or looking for quick magic formulas instead of gradual transformation. Conclusion and emotional trigger. Developing intelligent emotions is one of the greatest advantages a man can achieve in his love and personal life. It's the key to becoming resilient, authentic, mature, and capable of building true and satisfying relationships. Practice awareness, clear communication, empathy, and resilience every day, and you'll see how your presence becomes even more magnetic and inspiring. And now, imagine if all this emotional baggage were combined with a lighthearted presence, capable of enchanting and provoking genuine laughter. On the next step, you'll unlock the power of authentic humor to elevate your natural attraction to another level. Want to continue this climb toward a fulfilling emotional life, meaningful relationships, and true success? Then follow me to step 4. Congratulations on investing your time in this essential stage of your transformation. Developing intelligent emotions is what separates ordinary men from extraordinary men. You're building a solid foundation that not only strengthens your inner world, but also transforms the way women, friends, and even yourself perceive you. Emotional maturity is the secret no one tells you, but everyone seeks, and now you're one step ahead on this journey. But the climb doesn't stop there. The next step will reveal the power of authentic humor, a surprising weapon that will make you stand out naturally, break the ice, ease tension, and win smiles that open doors to real connections. Get ready to learn how lightheartedness and emotional intelligence work together to make your presence unforgettable. If you want to master this game-changing skill in your social and emotional life, don't miss the next video. Click the like button to show you're ready to grow, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a step on this climb, and activate the bell to receive all the notifications. Also, leave your thoughts in the comments so far and what emotional challenges you want to overcome. Your journey is just beginning. Let's climb to the next step together and make a difference.